I didn't expect the applause to sting. It wasn't loud, just polite, professional, the kind of applause that fills a conference room without meaning anything personal. They announced his promotion like it had always been inevitable. Director, Strategic Accounts, $120,000 more a year. He looked stunned in the way ambitious people practice. Looking stunned, I clapped first. I trained him when he didn't know how to speak to clients without apologizing. I rewrote his first deck at 1:40 a.m. and told him it was a strong start. I covered his forecasting error in year 3 by saying the modeling shift was my strategic call. I pushed for his MBA reimbursement when finance resisted. He hugged me after the announcement. I couldn't have done this without you. They handed me an envelope after. $15,000. Loyalty bonus. The VP smiled in a way that was meant to feel warm. Your mentorship is invaluable. We rely on you. Invaluable. I nodded. I have always been good at nodding. That night I told myself the truth gently. I was proud of him. I was. But there was something else sitting underneath the pride. Not jealousy. Not exactly. It was more structural than that. A recognition that somewhere along the way, my leadership had become a substitute for my own advancement. I had trained someone into my ceiling. 6:18 a.m. the next morning, my phone buzzed. Emergency client call. The kind where everyone speaks too quickly and no one wants to own the solution. I logged in from my office because I always come in early. Habit, containment, stability. He was already on the call, director, now voice tighter than usual. The client was upset. Contract misalignment. Delivery timeline confusion. A number quoted differently in 2 presentations. He paused mid-sentence and said lightly, "Maybe you can walk them through the revised model." Reflex is dangerous. I took over. Calm voice. Clear structure. I outlined the discrepancy, the correction, the forward path. I could feel the room steadying. I've been steadying rooms for 11 years. Halfway through explaining the revised projection, I realized something very simple. If I disappeared, this would collapse, not theatrically, not instantly, but gradually and expensively. That thought didn't feel powerful. It felt clarifying. I stopped speaking. There was a half-second of silence on the line. I closed my laptop mid-sentence. No announcement, no sigh, no performance. I stood up, grabbed my coat, and walked out of the building. The security guard glanced up. I nodded like it was any other morning. My phone began vibrating before I reached the parking garage. First him. "Hey," call dropped, then again. "Are you reconnecting?" Then the VP. "Need you back on ASAP," then HR. I didn't answer. By 9:30, the messages shifted in tone. The client was escalating. They wanted leadership accountability. They were referencing inconsistency in strategic ownership. They were asking who actually held decision authority. By 11:15, the CFO called me directly. He had never called me directly in 11 years. His voice was measured, unmistakably controlled. "Can you help me understand what happened this morning? Help me understand. Not where are you? Not this is unacceptable. Help me understand." I let the silence sit between us longer than I normally would. "I've been helping everyone understand for 11 years, I said. Calm. Even. He didn't interrupt. I explained without heat. I listed the projects where I carried execution without title. The crisis recoveries. The client relationships anchored to my name, not the org chart. The training hours that turned into dependency. I don't mind mentoring, I said. I mind being structurally required without being structurally acknowledged. Another pause. He asked one clear question. "What do you want?" I hadn't prepared a speech. That surprised me. Defined authority, compensation aligned with client ownership, and no more informal crisis absorption without title. I didn't ask for his promotion revoked. I didn't ask for his salary reduced. That wasn't the point. The point was that my boundaries had never been drawn. By early afternoon, the company's tone changed publicly. The director's client-facing authority was temporarily restructured pending stabilization. Reporting lines were being reviewed to ensure continuity. I was asked to join an executive session the following morning regarding strategic realignment. That language was unmistakable to anyone in the building. Power had shifted, not loudly, but visibly. He texted me once more around 2007 p.m. Did I do something? That was the only message that unsettled me. Because the truth was, he hadn't done anything wrong. He took the opportunity that was offered. I had helped build the path. What I hadn't built were boundaries around myself. Dedication without limits becomes infrastructure. Infrastructure doesn't get promoted. It gets relied on. At 4:30 p.m., HR emailed asking if I would be open to discussing expanded leadership responsibilities. Expanded. I stared at that word for a long time. When I finally drove home, it was still light outside. I'm usually leaving in the dark. The day felt strangely quiet. Not victorious, not catastrophic, just different. The meeting tomorrow could result in a new title, or a negotiated exit, or a compromise that looks cleaner than it feels. I don't know yet. What I know is this: resentment had been accumulating in increments too small to notice. Each time I absorbed one more crisis, each time I deferred visibility, each time I told myself that patience was strategy. This morning wasn't revenge. It was subtraction. For once I removed myself and let the structure reveal its weight, and by afternoon they could finally see it.